In this question, we have the equation of a circle, but it's not in the right format where we'd be able to get the center and radius of it. So to convert it to the right format, we need to use the completing the square method, which looks like this. And you're going to want to memorize the saying, b over 2, b over 2 squared. What we're talking about is how if you have a quadratic, it's in the format of ax squared plus bx plus c. We're talking about the b, the thing in front of the x to the first power. So for the x's here, you have an x to the first power, and there's a 1 coefficient in front of that. So the b in that situation is 1. And for the second part, you have another sort of x squared plus x, even though it's y in this situation, but the coefficient's 1. So our b's for x and y are going to be 1. But let's do a little easier example first, because this is a really high sort of level application of this. Let's say we had x squared plus 8x plus y squared plus 10y equals 8. If we use b over 2, b over 2 squared, and if we do that for x and for y, we can say that this is 8 and this is 10. Divide them both by 2 and square them both. And what you need to have memorized is that the b over 2 squared is what you add to both sides. And the b over 2 is how it factors. You'll see what I mean. So in this example, for the x squared plus 8x, we're going to add 16. And for the y squared plus 10y, we're going to add 25. That means that we added 41 to the left side of the equation. And so now we need to add 41 to the right side of the equation. Now this is a situation where if you were factoring it, you'd say what two numbers add to 8 and multiply to 16? And the answer is 4 and 4. So we can factor this as x plus 4 squared. But we knew from the beginning it was going to factor to x plus 4 squared because the method also tells us that. Similarly here, what two numbers add to 10 and multiply to 25? And the answer is 5 and 5. So it factors to y plus 5, which we're going to write as y plus 5 squared. Now on the right-hand side, that equals 49. So now this perfectly fits into the equation of a circle formula. X minus h squared, y minus k squared, and r squared. And we can tell that the center of this circle must be -4, -5. That's because the equation has some opposites in it. If we see positive, it actually means a negative number was plugged in to make it a double negative, which would look positive. And the radius is going to be 7, because this number here is your r squared. So you can use the b over 2 squared in order to convert sort of an unconverted equation of a circle into the format that we can use to get the center and the radius. So that's our example. And let's see if we can shrink this. Actually, let's just delete this. And we'll go ahead and apply it now to this question. So in our question, the b's are both 1 for x and for y. Divide them both by 2, and you get 1/2. Square those both. 1/2 squared is 1/4. So we're going to add 1/4 to both sides. So let's just copy the original equation. And here, we're going to add 1/4, and here we're going to add 1/4. So we just added 2/4 to the left side of the equation. Now 2/4 is the same as 1/2. So to balance it out, we're going to add the same thing to the right, but we're going to write it as 1/2. Why is that? Because to add, you need common denominators. And so I don't want to add 199 over 2 plus 2 over 4. I'd rather add 199 over 2 plus 1 over 2. And that'll give you 200 over 2, which is the same thing as 100. This part here factors to x plus 1/2 squared. What two numbers add to 1 and multiply to 1/4? 1/2 and 1/2. But that's a little high level and difficult. And that's the beauty of this method. You don't actually have to do the factoring because we knew from the beginning it was going to factor to 1/2. Same thing for the y's. That's going to factor to y plus 1/2 squared. And that equals 100. And now we have it in the format of x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals 100, equals r squared. And so now we know that r squared is 100, and we can find the radius that way. The center would have been negative 1/2, negative 1/2, because when you have a negative sign in the formula, what you see when it's actually in that format is the opposite of what you'll actually get. So if we see plus 1/2, plus 1/2, we know the center is minus 1/2, minus 1/2. And what we have in the r squared spot is 100. So if r squared is 100, we could take the square root of both sides, and r is 10. And that's what we were looking for all along. What's the radius? It's 10.